Hello and welcome to another edition of Paydirt Remote. Today I'm joined by Scott Williamson, Managing Director of Blackstone Minerals. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dom. Thanks for having me. Great format and great to be here.
Good. I'm glad we're here remotely, of course. I can see you're in your weekend casuals there at home. It's good to see. Scott, Blackstone is in a bit of an unusual, it's a bit unusual for an Aussie junior in that you're largely focused on Vietnam. I know you've got some projects here, but in Vietnam you've got the Toccoa nickel project there. It's a brownfield site. It's been mined before, but you've had some exploration, some greenfields exploration success, if you like, with the new discovery of King Cobra. Can you explain how you come across King Cobra and what it might mean for the project?
So it's an existing mine, and the ore body that we were drilling is, I suppose, a little bit different to the previous owners. So we were trying a different strategy, and so we've gone and drilled this disseminated ore body, and as we were drilling it out, we've struck this high grade from surface, and we're now starting to see massive sulfide within the disseminated zone. So the reason we think it's a discovery is because it's completely different to what we're expecting, and it looks like it's a different phase of mineralisation. So it's sort of suggesting that we could be getting closer to the source or the feeder zone of the intrusion. These types of magmatic nickel sulfide systems obviously come from deeper down, and so all we have to do now is just continue to drill that King Cobra zone at depth, and we'll just continue stepping down dip, and then we'll see what we get.
You hope that those higher grades then can continue if you're getting into the massive sulfide as opposed to the disseminated.
Our discovery hole was 60 metres at 1.3% nickel, and that was mainly disseminated. So now that we're starting to hit the massive, and it looks like it's getting better at depth. So the massive sulfide is going to bring better grade, and so we could have a I suppose larger chamber of this below us. So we think better at depth, but we'll have to see how that plays out.
As well as the nickel and the copper resources you've got at Toccoa, you've also been finding some PGMs, a couple of sniffs of PGMs around there. Could they end up being significant for the project, do you think?
The previous owners didn't assay for platinum, palladium, gold or rhodium, and it looks like we've got all of that, and the good thing is that most of those are going pretty well at the moment. Palladium price is well above the gold price. The rhodium price is even higher again. So it looks like we do have a little bit of rhodium as well. But these are metals that are going into the catalytic converter for the internal combustion engine. So we've sort of got a bit of a hedge. The revenue will be mainly driven by nickel. So about 80% of the revenue will come from nickel, and about 20% will come from these byproduct credits.
Just on that electric vehicle narrative, I mean, obviously nickel is been thrown into that mix in the last 18 months or so. I mean, have we seen is that thematic been set back by the coronavirus, or are you still expecting it to come on stream, in a few years from now?
Our end user partners or potential partners that we're talking to are saying, no, don't worry about the cobalt anymore. We need the nickel, and we need it yesterday. So they're not too worried about what's going on in the current market or the current price of nickel. They know that in 3 to 5 years' time, there won't be enough nickel around. So they want to get their foot on it now.
And I suppose having that financial backing out of Korea gives you some insulation against any of the market conditions. Is that an advantage, as you say?
We are in a very strong position where we've spent 2 years now on this strategy, and that's coming, getting closer. So we're hoping that we don't need to go back to our conventional sort of capital raising with the local stockbroker, but we'll see. But it's not a good position to be in if you are sort of relying on the capital markets at the moment. Our liquidity is completely gone. Our share price is in the toilet with everyone, without toilet paper, mind you. And but it's a good position to be in because we've done the hard yards now, and we've got a couple of groups here that are ready to play. So fingers crossed we can get something done.
I mean, obviously, the next step sounds like it could be a resource. Are you working on a resource, and when can we expect to see that? Is it about timing to make sure it hits the market at an appropriate time?
So not so much. Well, that will help. Getting it into the market at the right time is a good strategy. But it's more about drilling this King Cobra discovery and making sure we get as much of that into the resource as possible. We've got to manage that with the expectation that we do need to deliver a resource. We think late Q2, sort of June, July period. So we're still focused on that, and that was our sort of original timeline. So we want to stick to that. We want to deliver a scoping study soon after the resource as well. There's no use throwing a scoping study a resource into the market without showing the economics of what it actually means.
Finally, Scott, I know you've had to suffer from the vagaries of the lockdown, and you've been in self-isolation for 14 days on your return. Have you got any advice for other members of the mining community or the wider community on how to deal with that 14 days self-isolation?
What I would suggest is don't travel, because it's not worth the 14 days isolation. So I hadn't spent time physically with my family for nearly a month, and it was a difficult time. But yeah, I suppose try not to watch the markets too much. That's the only other advice, is that it was very difficult to keep your eye off the screen, because as a junior explorer and your share price is falling, it's very difficult to not watch that. But it's not easy. So yeah, just don't travel, stay home.
I think that's very wise advice. Thanks, Scott. Thanks very much for your time today, and good luck, and hopefully we can see each other in the flesh soon.
Great. Thanks, Dom.